We ended up going to military. I went to military school.
Yeah,
so,
Dale got sent to military school.
I was sent to military school. Apparently, I was getting ready to get expelled from the Christian school we were in.
What do you mean apparently? You didn't? Is that still a controversy to this day?
Yeah, he wasn't expelled yet, but
it was coming.
It was coming.
And it was.
Yeah.
We had
only been there for the one semester.
We had been there.
How do you do that?
We had been there for the half of the year. We were at Christmas break.
Yeah.
And something had happened in classroom, talking issue.
You got demerits or something there. I remember.
You got written up.
Yeah, you got.
And I had enough. I had been written up enough times to get expelled, and they basically were telling me that it hasn't processed, but once it processes, which is eventually when you come back from your break,
we're gonna kick you out.
We're gonna kick you out. And I went home thinking, God, I got to tell Dad and Teresa that I'm about to get expelled, or do I not, or what do I? And as soon as I walked in the door, that plan went out the window because they were in the floor of the living room with pamphlets laid out of all the military schools. They were looking at several boarding schools, some military, some not. And they had already decided in their mind that I was changing schools.
Well, I imagine as you were getting in trouble at the Christian school, the Christian school was calling home and telling them. So
I did not know that. Dang. I did not.
I mean, that's just my guess as a parent. That's usually what happens.
So they were already in motion to move me somewhere, and which is interesting enough. But you ended up going to military school.
I did. So
why? All right. So you got all these friends. I mean, you got a foundation of friends. Your home.
I know, but keep in mind.
How in the heck?
Yeah, you had friends, but we had changed schools like every 2 years.
Yeah.
So we didn't have kind of the same group of friends. So you were always going into a new school, trying to meet people, and friends. So let's see. We were at Brookwood private school for 2 years. I was there 6th and 7th. When did I go to military school? It was 9th and 10th grade. So I was there 7th and 8th grade at the Brookwood. Well, half of 8th, because the 8th grade is when we went to Christian school, or 9th grade is when we went to Christian school. My 9th grade is when I went to Christian school. I know.
Just to keep track of your school.
I say there's 12 grades, and we went to like 13 schools. I mean, seriously.
Is that right?
We went to so many schools. We did.
Y'all didn't move around that much?
Well,
we didn't move around.
The problem was, kindergarten back then was a separate school. It was only a kindergarten school.
Okay.
1st through 3rd grade for me was Kannapolis. House burned down, moved to Mooresville, go to Mount Morin, which was the elementary school. We only went there 1 grade, 4th grade. Because it ended. Okay. Then I had to move to Brawley Middle School, 5th and 6th grade. Then they decided they didn't want us in public school anymore, so we went to private school, which was Brookwood. That was 7th and 8th grade.
In Statesville.
Then they decided they wanted us to go Christian school, so we went there 9th grade for me.
Southview and Troutman.
Yeah, Southview is still there.
Yep.
And then,
and then he gets shipped
guy
off
across the tables gets in a lot of trouble. And so half of my 9th grade year and 10th grade year I spent in military school.
And you were there already a year, right?
I was there for a few months.
Oh,
I thought you were there for just a few weeks. I thought I went like a month later or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then finished up high school at Mooresville. So by the time, we were in a new school and Christian school. We had left another private school, and those people weren't in our Christian school. So, I had friends and the safety of being at home, but I just was always looking out for him. I was always me and him. We spent so much time together. You're talking about having nannies. You're talking about having relatives. Your parents aren't home every weekend. We did not have the normal, family unit. It was just like me and Dale. So I didn't really, I didn't want to be alone at home with, a nanny or a family member or whatever. I don't even know who our nanny was at that point. And so I wanted to go with him and be with him and protect him. And he was a scrawny little thing. You should see him in our military.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
I was 4'3".
Yeah.
In the 7th.
And everybody else's
grade.
age was at least 5 foot.
Yeah, they were at least a foot taller than me.
And Kennedy's in the 7th grade. And she's 5'2".
Do you reckon you were getting demerits, like almost like in your subconscious, just as a rebellion? Mm-hmm. Because like you said, he's not confrontational. Uh-huh. He didn't like that kind of stuff, and yet apparently demerits don't scare him. Jewelry scares him. Demerits don't, and he gets kicked out.
It's not like he's biting.
I was not mean to the teachers or
it was just talking.
This is what it was.
Yeah.
So when I would go to these schools, and we would have to leave friends, go to schools and make new friends. And when someone in that classroom became my friend or talked to me or showed me any interest, I couldn't help but I would get so excited about that or enjoy that interaction so much that I would often be caught talking in class or not listening to the teacher, and interacting with my new friends.
Yeah, you were more interested in the relationships that you were forming. Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, this person thinks I'm cool, wants to be my friend. This is awesome. That's important. And I would want to just be. I went to school because that's where my buddies were.
Yeah.
I like going to school, but only because I was going to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
And so I goofed off in class, sort of class clownish. A bit of annoyance to the teacher, but not mean to
Yeah,
the
he wasn't defiant or disrespectful.
Just looking for attention and friendship.
Because we had to be extremely
companionship.
respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking for companionship.
Right.
Man, it's somewhat sad. It's sad.
Yeah, you look back on it, and I mean, I'm sure we had our feelings then of how we felt and felt, unloved or not, just didn't have the right family unit, I would say, knowing what family should be like, now. And, but I don't think it bothered us as much then because we had such a good relationship.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, now we were going to our mom's and having a heck of a time in Virginia when we would go there.
Twice a year.
That was awesome. And spend weekends with her when she would come down. So we had a good life, when we had roof over our heads and all that kind of thing. It's just that in the family with Dad and Teresa, it just wasn't very family loving, situation.
I've always wanted to ask you this, Dale. To be shipped off to a military school would, to me, be at that age, the worst thing I could possibly fathom.
Let me tell you what the worst thing is. So, the first 2 weeks you're there, when you get there, there are other kids that have just gotten there in the same boat you're in, and y'all all kind of gravitate toward each other. You're all new. You just got all your fatigues, and you're moving in. You all often are rooming with a new kid that just got sent there. You're telling each other why you're there, how you're there, why you think your parents sent you there. So you kind of have that little nucleus. You don't trust any of them because you assume that anyone that's there is there for a reason. They're bad, right? And so it's hard to really build any trust in there in that school. But you do over time. You become friends with people.
Yeah.
Find people that you like to hang out with. But the worst part about it was we would get to go home on the weekends, which was tough because our dad raced. And so he would often be racing on the weekends. And so to be able to our friends are going to see their families if they were relatively close. But a lot of times we wouldn't be able to see Dad on the weekends and weren't going to races as often. One particular weekend, and this is 2-3 weeks after Kelley got there. I'd been there for about a month, and I am homesick. The first 2 weeks you're in military school, they don't let you go home. All right, that's foreign as hell to any kid, especially in just a seventh grader, right? So you're missing the hell out of your family, and then if you get any kind of demerits for not shining your shoes, not polishing your brass, not being on time for something, you get written up. You have to work those demerits off on the weekend. And so that means staying and marching or doing detail, cleaning up, trash, whatever. You're going to do something that's going to work these demerits off. Every demerit, you got a half-hour work. So I'd worked in just a couple weeks I'd been there. I'd had a handful of demerits that was going to keep me from going home. It wasn't uncommon for a lot of kids, new kids.
Because you got in trouble for
you
didn't salute like the right rank of person.
You could be walking by an 11th grade kid, and if you didn't salute him, he would stop you and write you up.
Yeah, or make you do push-ups right on the spot.
Yeah, and so that was another thing. Like you're in military school, and you're the
older kids.
Kids are running the show.
Yeah,
they want to get.
They get a little bit of authority.
Oh yeah,
and they're pretty excited about it. And it was a little bit of initiation. You're rough on the younger kids. So, anyways, even if you were a new kid in 11th grade, you got it was hard on you. But we were Dad was coming to pick Kelley up. All right, so I got this information from Kelley. All right, Dad's coming to get me. He'll be up at the front of the school at X hour if you want to see him. All right, I'll see him. So I am in my dorm looking at the clock. It's 10 minutes till. I'm going to go up to the door. I'm going to walk 150 yards to the front of the school to see Dad pick up Kelley. And Kelley's going to get to go home, but I'm at least going to get to see Dad. And I walk out of my door, and I could see the front of the school 150 yards away, and I see Dad's black pickup truck driving away.
He didn't even wait.
All right? And I lost it. I'm talking bawling. And I'm running. And I mean, they're gone. They're leaving, driving out, leaving, right? And I'm freaking out. And Kelley comes, I mean, for 3 days, 2 days, for all day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, thinking my dad drove up there, picked Kelley up. And Kelley's in that truck, knowing that I was wanting to come see Dad, and they left. And Dad just drove out. Kelley comes back, and I'm like, I can't freaking believe that Dad left and didn't say hey to me. And she goes, oh, that was Chocolate driving Dad's truck. Y'all Chocolate Myers.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, God dang, why in the hell did Dad not like? So then I go to why didn't Dad want to come to see me?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that says a lot about like what Dad was at RCR working that day, just up there doing a seat or something in Winston-Salem, which was near.
And had him come over and
had,
that's right.
Hey, Chocolate, go get Kelley. Go pick her up.
Yeah.
I was the last thing on his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was the hardest.
The bad thing about
He is up there like
the bad thing about that, like as he was telling that story, I'm thinking about Dad and the disciplinary person that he is. And you know, you have a kid now. You have 2 girls. I have kids. I really try to separate the person and the behavior, right? So you really try to discipline, you know, this behavior wasn't appropriate, but I love you, but, you know, we're not going to stand for this. Dad, that didn't, and, you know, I think it's sort of the times a little bit, I think, but also that's how Dad was parented by his dad. And so Dad's parenting, I mean, for Dale to think that his dad drove off from him was not out of the ordinary to think, because that's how Dad would have treated a situation. Son, you're in trouble. You got demerits. You're not getting any of my attention. I'm going to go along with the whole punishment thing.
Yeah.
And that's how he did things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how he disciplined us in punishment. So it was like he didn't, you felt like he didn't like you. He didn't love you, you know, during times when we were in trouble, which we had extremely strict rules, and our trouble was massive. Like when we got in trouble, they took our TV away, they took our radio away, they took our toys out of our room. I don't know where the hell they put all this but I mean, it was massive. I remember I was 17 years old, and like this boy in a neighborhood down from the farm, I told Dad, which I lied, okay, and I lied. I told him I need to go to the CVS to pick up something for school that I needed for a project. So I left the farm, drove to this boy's house. Why my dad picked this neighborhood to drive through, because you don't come through this neighborhood to go home to our house on the lake. But he did, and he saw my car, and he walked up to the front door, and he knocked on the front door and got me out of that and was like, what are you doing here? You said you didn't say you were coming here, da-da-da-da-da. I got grounded for I'm 17. I got grounded. I had to quit my job. He wouldn't even let me go to my job. I had to quit my job.
You did lie to him, though.
I did lie to him. I know, I did lie to him.
I mean,
I did lie to him. But I mean, like, who, you ground your kid and then you make them quit their job?
That's aggressive.
I mean,
but it's consistent.
it is consistent.
You know,
it was very consistent.
like, listen, of all the parenting tips that I've received, consistency seems to be one of the things that is most prevalent to, like, if you're really going to raise your kids right, you have to be consistent. Don't let them think that you're, you know, can be talked off of your discipline.
Well, with Dad and Teresa, you knew what was coming.
There was consistency.
There was no doubt. There wasn't no, you know what, I wonder if they'll go easy. There was no doubt.
There's no mercy.
That you were going to
Cobra Kai.
Get what was coming to you.
Well, and the bad thing is, like, even if it was an accident, like, you know, I mean, accidents happen. There was just no convincing them of anything. That it was just, it was straight on. Down
We'll fast forward.
I mean, that's.
I just want to. Well,
I don't know how y'all aren't more screwed up than you are. I mean, like, you guys have every right to be completely, like, you know, getting therapy every day. I'm just saying. But go ahead.
I think that
we saved each other.